Hello and welcome to HD Movie Talk. I am your host, Dean's Beans. I'm Dean. I've got beans. I'm here once again with my co-host, Harley Darley, Fluffy Duffy, the boy with the beanie, Harlan Duffy. Hello, how are you?
Harley Darley. Interesting.
What about the boy with the beanie? I thought that was pretty good.
The boy with the beanie.
That was on the fly.
You know what? There is a joke to be made with Dean's beans and Harlan's beanie.
I'm
I,
not.
I, I
Yeah,
don't know how you do it, but there's a joke there that you could definitely make.
we've set it up for you. Now the audience tells the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm.
Um, what are we talking about today? I can't remember. Oh no, I remember. That new layers on this joke. Were you ready for it then?
No, I wasn't. Did you see me get? I like literally my thought process was like, oh, he forgot what we are gonna talk about. Oh wait, no, he's gonna do it to me. He didn't even do it.
Anyway, we're here to talk. We're here to do our lovely little series where we look back at certain televisional shows. And today we are looking back at a televisional show for real, like it's an actual televisional show. I don't know what I'm talking about. We are here
Televisional.
to talk about season one of The Boys, and we kind of just talk about what we think on a rewatch compared to our first viewing or other viewings, and then we just rank it next to every other show we've talked about. Do you want to go through the previous rankings, like at the top?
Sure. Let's blast through them though.
Yeah. Just I'm opening it right now. It's going to be super speedy. So we rank the shows and then we rank the best episode from each series individually. So ranking the series is we have Daredevil season 1, Peacemaker season 1, The Mandalorian season 2, The Mandalorian season 1, WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then episodes, it goes Daredevil season 1, Mandalorian season 1, Peacemaker, Mandalorian, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision.
My little sibling was watching Daredevil for the first time yesterday, and I was so proud.
How old are they?
Seventh grade, 12, 13,
That's
around
way,
there. No, 13, I think.
that's way too long a pause, mate. I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
That's way too long a pause.
Yeah, whatever.
No excuses. I don't know my own age. 19, 25. We are here. Anyway, we're going to go through it episode by episode. I have episode summaries here.
Okay.
Should we just jump into it?
Yeah. First question: have you rewatched what rewatch is this for you?
Probably fifth, fourth,
Fifth?
fourth or fifth.
I think this is my third time seeing
I
it.
so I have definitely watched it each time there's been a new season. So I watched it once for season 1, once when season 2 came out, and then once when season 3 came out. And then I think I would have had a fourth rewatch somewhere in there as well, maybe. So this would be my fourth or fifth watch, depending on whether I had that extra rewatch. Oh, Harlan just went dark.
Yeah, sorry. I felt like my camera was a little glossy.
Okay. What about you?
I think, well, back when the show came out, kind of ish, I watched the first couple episodes, didn't get hooked on it, and I dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 2 came out, and so then I like halfway through season 2, I started watching season 1, and I was able to get up to so I watched the finale of season 2.
Yeah. No,
And
because
then
I did. I don't remember when I watched, but I think I've watched every season of the show as they've come out.
and then I think I rewatched season 1 and 2 for 3.
Yeah. Yeah. And The Boys is on the short list of things that we have watched together in person. Because we watched a few episodes of The Boys season 3 together.
Yes, we did.
I think like 4 episodes of season 3.
Yeah, the best ones.
Yeah. But we're not here to talk about season 3.
No. We will eventually.
And an important note to make about season 1, I think, is that this was all released at once in the binge model, which I think is a negative for The Boys. Like I think I prefer the week to week releases overall for shows. But for the boys, I really enjoy the week to week releases, especially.
I really don't have much of a preference. Like during, like you have an interesting point of view because you were there during it,
Mm-hmm.
especially for season one.
Yeah.
I wasn't, and it is an extremely bingeable show. I don't think it like I think some shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier definitely like
Yeah.
it was hindered by being released week by week.
What's your opinion on the Echo
It's
situation?
smart. I
Yeah.
think
Test it. Yeah.
just because like shows like Loki are like huge things where you don't know what's gonna happen. It's
Like
just
one
like
division.
yeah, like those shows it worked because it's like speculative theory, but like shows like Echo and I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier falls in that category as well. Like they're not huge. They're not huge
Yeah, and I think
compared to
the
Loki and
other issue
WandaVision.
is for Marvel shows like this, for something like Echo, and I think it happened with Hawkeye, it was damaged by the week to week releases because in that week everyone was like, "Oh, next week we're going to see Spider-Man show up, and we're going to see Kingpin, and we're going to see Daredevil, and all these characters are going to cameo in it." And I think that's going to be an issue for Echo as well, where like if the
Big time.
first few episodes Kingpin or Daredevil aren't in it, like every single week people will be like, "Next week Daredevil and Kingpin are going to be in it," and then
Yeah.
yeah, so I think it depends on the show, but a show like The Boys, where it doesn't rely on cameos and that sort of thing, I think
Yeah.
for me personally, I think The Boys has the best model where they release for season 2 and season 3, where they release three or so episodes at once, and then every single week they'll release a new episode.
Yeah.
Do you want to know
Right.
this might be a bit sad? Do you know how hooked I was on The Boys season 2?
How hooked?
So they were releasing episodes week to week. By the time the next episode had come out, I'd already seen the previous episode twice. So like I'd watch it the day it came out, and then I would watch it again midweek, and then the new episode would come out, and I'd watch that, and then I'd watch it again midweek because I'm like, I want to watch The Boys more. So I saw that entire season twice by the time it finished.
That's awesome.
But yeah, anyway, Boys season 1. All the episode names are like names of like arcs in the comic. Hence why they've got a bit of weird names. But are you ready for the summary of episode 1?
Sure.
Okay. Huey's girlfriend Robin is killed by a train in front of him by accident. Someone from Vought offers Huey a deal for his silence. Starlight gets a place on the Seven, but is sexually assaulted by the Deep on her first day. Huey is approached by Billy Butcher, a CIA operative who wants his help to infiltrate Vought. Starlight and Huey meet. Huey infiltrates Vought, but is followed home by Translucent, who Butcher and Huey fight and defeat, and a senator threatens Vought and is killed by Homelander. And Billy reveals that he doesn't work for the CIA.
What a good first episode. Like, I do think like I got my friend into watching this show.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a big fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of his biggest complaints is that like that it feels like there's no consequences and like it kind of just stays like the same sort of style throughout all three seasons, which I kind of get.
Mm-hmm.
However, being a huge fan of The Boys like we are, and where the story is right now, so different as to where like it was almost jarring how like little had happened.
Yeah, how different. Like so much as like season 1 is, I don't want to say slow, but like it is quite slow in comparison in what's to come in the way the world changes and the story progresses. Like the amount of change from the start of season 1 to the end of season 1 is about the same as like the start of season 2 to episode 3 of season 2.
Right. Like a huge like consequence, like a huge consequence in this season is like what they're dealing on a day-to-day basis in season 3.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good thing. Like it's not a complaint about this season because I don't feel when I'm watching this season, oh, this is so slow. Can they not get to the cool stuff? Like I think it works. and I think it makes season 3. We've talked about this, and we're not talking about season 3 right now, but it is related. How like in the comics, very first issue or what for first like arc, they get superpowers and they just go and beat up a bunch of soups. In the TV show, it is 100 times more satisfying when you have all this build up to that.
And it's also like really interesting seeing Billy Butcher's arc.
Mm.
You know, like in the beginning, he's like, we should kill every soup that comes at us, no matter their opinions or anything. Yeah. Okay. But let's continue.
I can't apart from maybe like Mother's Milk, I can't think of a single character that has the same outlook on anything at this point in the show than they do at the end. Like Starlight, Homelander, the Deep, A-Train, all the boys, like they all develop.
Yeah, for sure.
And it never feels jarring. Episode 2 is called Cherry. I think that's something to do with, the guy who's about to explode. Huey, Billy, and Frenchie put Translucent into a cage and try to figure out what to do with him. Starlight and the Deep go on a team up, and Vought searches for Translucent. Starlight is caught stopping a crime in her civilian identity, and Vought blackmail a senator with a shapeshifter. And the boys discover a way to kill Translucent.
Does Translucent die in this episode?
Yes.
I think the way they do Translucent and that entire arc with Huey is awesome.
Yeah, I always picture. I do when I think about this. I always imagine that poster of like "keep your hands clean" or whatever it says with the baby with spaghetti all over its face.
Yeah. I also think again I'll have to rewatch seasons 1 and seasons 2 and 3, but I think this season is my favorite. Like Starlight's my favorite in this season.
I do really like how she develops though. Like,
yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying like I don't like her in season 2 and 3, but I think like her character is most effective.
Yeah.
In season 1.
I do really enjoy in season 2 how she season 3, I think how she really hardens and like
yeah, well, like
becomes more cynical, but I get what you mean.
I don't think I really have a negative, like a person where I'm like, oh, I don't like seeing this character on screen for any of the characters.
Love sausage. Every time.
Don't lie. You know you like it. We have fun. Anyway. But like Starlight, like I think she's an excellent like what's the word I'm looking for?
I think she's an excellent, I don't know if this is what you're about to say. She's an excellent point of view of Vought.
Right, but like audience
surrogate.
Sure.
That's also
that
what
the word
is. Yeah.
Because like we get to see how like it's I don't know. Starlight's character is just really I don't know. There's a lot of like female. I think that, and it also pokes fun at this, like in Hollywood, like all the female characters are like your Captain Marvels are like, let the women step in. We got this covered. Women get it done. But she's just it's a very, very smart, thought out character.
Yeah, I think it is also a very interesting parallel about how Huey and Starlight joined the boys and joined the Seven, and how much they change over the season of the show in very similar ways.
I was about how awful Huey was to Starlight.
Yeah, you forget that, don't you? Which I'm sure we're going to get to more. It's interesting. It's complex, which is what is to love about this show. Episode 3. Episode 3 is called Get Some. And it's despite becoming more popular, Starlight is forced into a new costume. Butcher recruits Mother's Milk to the boys, and they bug Pop Claw's house, who's dating A-Train. The boys infiltrate A-Train's race to steal some mysterious Compound V, and while they are there, Huey meets Starlight again, but no Compound V is found. This is a great episode. This is one of A-Train's race, And there's a lot of good stuff here. This is, yeah.
We
Really.
also get the meme of Billy and Homelander looking at each other.
Yeah, and you get the like, I like the scene of Homelander and Queen Maeve stopping the criminal.
Yeah, that's really good. Why? Okay, so I don't know. I think it might only be in the pilot episode where Homelander's suit, it has like sort of like it's like buttoned from the chest,
Yeah.
and in episode 1, it's like down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's up for the rest of the series. Never comes back down again, which I think is just an interesting design choice.
Yeah.
That's one little thing. Um,
You get, I think what this season does really, really well, season 1, is the slow reveal of who Homelander is.
mm-hmm. Across the entire suit, I feel like we still don't even have a full grasp.
Yeah, but I just think the guy even the guy at the end of this season is very different to the guy at the end of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Or season 3.
yeah, well, yeah, but I think it's a real slow burn here, which I got didn't fully appreciate.
Wait, what do you mean? You didn't appreciate?
Like, I don't think I haven't noticed it before. I mean, like, just how much it's revealed over such a long period of time.
Another thing that I was surprised how long it took them to fully find out was Compound V.
Yeah.
Like, even like when I was first, because it's been a while since I rewatched this, and I was just like surprised that like, oh, Vought is still just like nobody knows about Compound V. Like season 2 and 3, they established pretty well that like, yeah, you know what, we do have this, and that's our brand is Compound V, and that's what we're known for.
We are. No, I can't do it. I'm not going to do a Giancarlo impression, but we are a pharmaceutical company. Is that his line?
Yeah. But like when I think like the real point where like I found was like, oh, Compound V, that must be some sort of like power enhancer steroid for soups, and it's the opposite. But I will probably be able to talk about that in later episodes too.
Yes, episode 4, the female of the species. We see a flashback of Billy with Becca, and while following a lead on V, the boys find a facility and free the female from there. They have to. She escapes, and they have to find her before Vought do. Huey goes on a date with Starlight, and A-Train discovers Popclaw told to the boys about V. Homelander and Queen Maeve fail to stop a plane hijacking, but Homelander manages to turn this in their favor. The boys find and recruit the female before A-Train gets to her.
Okay.
I have something. I have a note for slightly the last episode, but also this episode. I think the marketing guys are really good.
They are really good.
Whenever they show up, I enjoy it.
This might be one of my favorite episodes.
I think this is my favorite. Can I give you my rundown of the best scenes?
Sure.
So you have the great Starlight and Huey day. I think that's great. Obviously, the plane hijacking scene is incredible, and like that's when you get the moment Homelander, and you're like, oh. And then also the Spice Girls speech that Billy gives, I really love as well. When he's
that one's good.
When Mother's Milk and Frenchie are arguing, and he's like,
also,
have you heard of Sporty Spice since she? I can't believe it took me this long to do a Billy Butcher impression.
I know there's a story behind this, but I think this is the show's first appearance of The Fly.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Yeah. Why did they give The Fly a sound effect?
Oh, it's weird, isn't it?
There's a story, right?
I don't know it. I think I've heard it before, but yeah.
I think the story was like where they were shooting it, like in the subway station, there were so many flies.
Yeah, and then
But
they
like, but a fly appears outside the subway station, but they still give it like a little bzz
yeah,
as it flies
and
by.
then everyone thought that had I remember that in season 2, everyone thought that had something to do with the head poppers because like for the first couple of head poppers in season 2, the fly would appear first.
Mm.
Just by coincidence, or maybe they would like it's a red herring, but the fly would appear first, and everyone's like, "This is definitely connected," and then obviously it wasn't in the end.
Um, it definitely does. The fly have like, is that a soup, or is that just a like them just being quirky in the editing room?
I don't know. I think they're just being quirky.
Maybe he'll be the main villain for season 5.
Maybe it's some termite on it with a little friend.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
Um,
I found
what?
I found the Spice Girls speech.
Want to do it?
No, but it's
Oh,
funny.
okay.
Um, I really like it though. The best bit is when he goes passion, schizophrenic, and scream if you want to go faster. They'll all make your ears bleed.
What a great. Billy Butcher is fantastic.
And the flashbacks in this episode are great as well because it is such a slow reveal about what happens with Becca. And like it gets to the point where you sort of piece it together and then they reveal like and then Billy tells the whole story in episode 7 and you're like, wow.
Yeah, and that's like another thing is like, well, I still remember this more, but like the story starts off as Becca died,
Yeah.
and then it turns out no, she had Homelander's baby.
And then died during childbirth.
Right, and then it's no, the baby's alive, and no, it's Becca's still alive. So
Yeah, and Billy never finding like it's in I really like the confrontation at the end. Well, we'll get to that. I'm not going to talk about that now.
yeah, we will get to that.
Yeah. But I every time you see a little bit, I think it's the next episode. I'm not 100% sure. Every time you get to the bit where it's Billy Butcher waking up, and then every morning he's watching this security footage on repeat. It like just gives me shivers just Billy Butcher is such an interesting character because obviously he's an awful man, and like that becomes more and more apparent as the show comes on. But just his like single-minded determination is like I don't know. I'm never sure if it's inspiring or scary.
It's scary.
Of just, do you know what I mean though? Just how committed this man is.
Yeah.
It's like at the end when Homelander's like, "Oh, your heart isn't even like racing. You're calm."
Well, no, he said his heart is racing, but it's just not out of fear.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, and that wait, is this episode 6? This is episode 6, right?
This episode 5.
Oh, we're still on episode 5. Not like it's taking long, but I'm always surprised how much is in a single episode.
No, that was episode 4.
Wow.
I know that's the thing. When I write these summaries, the boys like the Daredevil ones were like twice the length of the WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier ones, and then the boys ones are like an extra line on top of the Daredevil ones.
Yeah.
Like so much happens.
Which I mean, kind of goes to if you look at where the shows are ranked as well. It kind of I don't know. Like on our I'm pretty sure the boys are gonna be ranked pretty highly on our ranking, but
top half.
All right, episode 5, I guess.
Episode 5, good for the soul. Under Homelander's instruction, A-Train kills Popclaw after she tells him about the boys at a Christmas. It says Christian, not Christmas. At a Christian festival, the boys investigate Capes for Christ, and Homelander argues with Stillwell about talking points. Billy destroys his wife's grave. Huey meets and blackmails Ezekiel, and both Homelander and Starlight go off script in their speeches. Billy and Mother's Milk find Compound V, and Huey tells Annie about Robin. We also explore Homelander's mummy issues and the female and Black Noir fight.
So I think this is by no means a weak episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good episode, but I feel like this is one where like the least amount happens.
There's a lot of character stuff here.
Yeah, there's a lot of character stuff.
I don't know. I do really like that. I like they do it quite a bit where I think they've like there's one or so a season where they just go to a location and things happen at the location that furthers the plot along. Because like in season 2, it's at the at like the facility where they're making soups.
Mm.
And then there's another, and then I guess in season 3 they go to Russia for an episode. If you're counting that,
I know they do that.
I like the episodes where they just go off to a location, things happen there. It really like breaks up the episodes.
And then this is where they have like that baby scene, right?
Yeah, fucking diabolical.
He actually just says diabolical.
No, he goes, oh fuck, that's diabolical.
Oh yeah, he does do that. I was waiting for the fucking diabolical, but it was just.
It's good fun. It's all in good fun. I really love. Might be just one of my favorite Billy Butcher episodes. Moments where he puts the baby back down and he goes, bathe yourself or I'll be back for you, or something like that. And then he goes off. Like, that's such a good line.
Billy Butcher, every character has a good time to shine. Like Billy Butcher, another time he really has to shine is when he's questioning that one old guy about religion.
Yeah, he's like, his mum.
And Mother Smoke just kind of has to take him away.
God, the C word. It's good.
And Huey has some really like that one time where he and Homelander are like in Ezekiel's.
Yeah, I found the line. Now keep your nose clean, sunshine, or I'll come back and stomp you. It's so good. No, it's the first. Oh well, no, it's not. It's the second The Boys v Homelander interaction in the series, and each of them feels so special and tense. I forgot about the first one. We didn't mention it. It's Frenchie and the van. When
yeah.
Translucent in episode 2.
And it's so interesting how like Homelander doesn't know that this guy is like
exactly. He doesn't know. That's what I was about to say. He doesn't know,
and he still like hates him,
and he still like goes to kill him. But it's like he always refers to them as mud people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I enjoyed. It's good. Like it's a good character moment for Huey when he blackmails Ezekiel, and like he tries to figure out how to do that on the fly.
Yeah,
and he has there's a pretty funny lines about gay sex.
And it
just my ass like jazz with poise and timing and the willingness to improvise.
It just like I think like at that point you realize that Huey's like in it. You know what I mean? Like at first it's like, oh, like this poor kid has like, been sucked into this world, but at that point you're like, oh no, he has a dark side and he's going to be able to stand with these guys.
Yeah, and he has a good and I think Starlight starts to realize that in this episode as well, because first I really like Homelander's speech about how like he's turning the crowd in his favor. Like it's a familiar thing to see in just the political landscape. And then Starlight has a really great speech. And then Huey has a great monologue to Starlight about Robin when she turns on him.
Yeah, that's my least favorite part of the episode is probably when Huey decides to use Starlight to get the VIP package for Ezekiel. Like story-wise, it makes sense, and like I don't think they shouldn't have done it, but it just hurts to see. He's I
don't really like the stuff where Starlight's asked about her virginity. That just makes me a bit weird.
Yeah. There's some like this episode definitely like makes you feel the most awkward.
Yeah, we've brushed over a lot of the traumatic stuff that happens. The Deep takes his, pants off in episode 1 for a start.
Yeah. But who wants to focus on the traumatic parts of the series? Ugh,
What we're focusing on is the character growth.
that's true. Which it all has to do with.
Yeah, I think that A-Train killing Plop Claw, Plop Claw,
Plop Claw.
Plop Claw is a real character-defining moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because later on, when he's like slowly sort of getting redemption, kind of, I just remember that, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I don't know. I like seeing A-Train fast though.
Yeah,
Like when he can't run, it's like, oh,
yeah. I understand why
boring.
they have to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that too.
But
I
now,
also really, this is a little thing, but A-Train's like sound effect is cool. Well, it's like the train too.
yeah.
Train, A-Train.
Oh, I'm still laughing at him getting a new heart. It's such good. Hey, that's a highlight for me. I that makes me chuckle every time. Okay, episode 6. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Vought tries to fire Starlight, but she threatens to expose the deep. Billy tells Huey about Becca. Mother's Milk and Frenchie blackmail Mesmer to find out more about the female. We see images of Homelander being raised in a lab, as well as lots of Vought propaganda. Mesmer says the female's name is Kamiko, and she was given Compound V to become a super terrorist. Butcher refuses to hand the info over to the feds because they won't prosecute Homelander. And Mesmer tells Homelander about the boys. And Billy interrupts Annie and Huey kissing.
Really good. Like we get like sort of a really nice insight between Billy Butcher and Huey in this episode. Because like we kind of learn that like Huey Butcher has more of an appreciation for Huey in this episode, and though he's not necessarily willing to admit it, like
yeah, I really like the like the support group scene. I think
yeah.
that's a good Billy Butcher moment of him not being able to face up to like anything and just being like just incredibly angry all the time.
And it's also like it's pretty quick. I don't know, like I feel like Billy Butcher always has like this like maybe even like subconscious like desperation to be Huey's guide through this, and like he wants or he feels like the best way for Huey or the best way for him is for like Huey to do exactly what he does.
I hate that relationship. Just like it, as the seasons go on, it just pains me so much.
How do you mean?
Just like at the start of season 2, when like Huey is really struggling and he's like on the brink, and then like he like tries to stop Billy or something, and Billy just turns around and punches him in the face, and then they just drive off. That every time I hate it. Like it's so good storytelling because I hate it this much. But like I don't know, I really feel for both of them. And like it's just one of those things where you're like, can't we just have like a season where they're all friends and they get along, you know? It just every time.
Nope. It's gonna be hard every time.
Yeah, every time. I really like this episode is the cool episode where they show lots of like B-roll of like the Seven and Vought shooting footage for promotional stuff and things like that. And I really like how this episode is put together.
Is this the episode where like Queen Maeve and her ex kind of have a conversation?
Yeah.
That might be one of the weaker. Like I feel like Queen Maeve might be one of the weaker characters in this show.
I think she comes into her own. Well, I think it works because she isn't meant to be the focus. And I think it just gives her a small amount of like groundedness and personality rather than just giving her nothing.
I don't dislike Queen Maeve by any means, but I feel like in like terms of like the side characters.
Yeah. I like it gives her something rather than, you know.
No,
Like,
like she needs something.
yeah,
And I don't think the movie necessarily like screeches or the show screeches to a halt when it focuses on it by any means. But like, I feel like I'm much more interested in like Frenchie's backstory or like Kimiko's backstory.
Yeah, I much prefer it when you've got the whole Queen Maeve coming out arc in season 2. I
Yes.
like that.
Yes. That's really good.
Yeah. Um, it's funny how you look now because Mother's Milk and Frenchie don't get like they're in the show a lot, but they don't get much growth or change apart from like sort of with Kamiko for Frenchie. But how much like every character has so much more fun. Even like Ashley, Black Noir, all these characters that are definitely just in the background in this season get a lot more play. And I think it works because obviously in the first season you need to set up all your main characters. And then when they're made, you can then fill out like the background. Like it's not a complaint about season 1. It's a compliment about the other seasons.
For sure. But like also like if they focused on that, I feel like it would have taken away from like the overall story. And I think I wouldn't have changed anything, but I get what you're saying.
I wouldn't change anything. I like how all I'm saying is I like how they don't keep it like that is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I love Black Noir in this season.
I think I like him better in season 2.
Yeah.
Because he has more to do in season 2.
Yeah. Like he has that episode at like Huey's mother, like house or auntie's house or whatever. I like, there's lots of small moments. Like when I really like it in the 7 meeting where Homelander's like, you're all downright sloppy. Apart from you, Black Noir, you're doing great. And Black Noir's just sitting there.
Wait, is that this episode or that's the next one?
That's 7.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 7. And then in episode 8, you have Black Noir playing the piano, which is
great.
Top tier Black Noir moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I also appreciate how they do like give characters no growth and then use that as comedy.
Yeah.
Because this show's funny.
It's a very aware show.
Yeah. Anyway, episode 7, the Self-Preservation Society. Huey and Starlight hook up and the Deep is relocated. Homelander tells the 7 about the boys. A-Train goes to Huey's home. The boys' families have to go into hiding and the Deep struggles to start his new life. Homelander finds out he impregnated Becca and she died during childbirth and so did the baby. Billy hands the information over to the feds, but before they can prosecute, a super terrorist attacks the army overseas.
I think, well, first of all, I think my favorite part about this episode might be, I know there are many good parts, but I really enjoy Homelander's meeting with the 7.
Yeah, and I really like Annie's reaction to what should we talk about? Like, because you mentioned it earlier on, what Huey's like done to Starlight over the course of this season.
Sure.
Like how bad is that on the scale of horrible things?
I mean, like I was like trying to think, like if I was in Huey's situation, how would I be able to redeem myself? Because like they did meet in a completely,
coincidental.
Like,
yeah.
There was no
Twice.
like malintent. It was just, hey, let's.
It's like a real classic rom-com setup.
Yeah.
It's like He's All That, where they're put together because of a bet, and then your face. They're put together because of a bet, and then in the third act, it's revealed that he didn't actually want to hang out with her, but he was forced to. But over the time of spending with her, he actually grew to really appreciate her. And now the setup ended up being fake, and he didn't want her to find out about that because he didn't want to lose what he had. Like it's a very rom-com thing, but it feels very different here.
Right, and like I think it's interesting because like when the second time they met, he was recording. Did he mute the conversation?
Yeah.
He muted the conversation, but like at that moment he knew he was about to kind of, start manipulating and
But
taking advantage.
I think he was a little naive in that situation, to be fair, because he didn't. All he was doing was distracting Starlight while they broke into the locker rooms, and I don't think there's anything massively wrong with that. It's later on when he does start to manipulate her and that sort of thing, and like that's also not his choice. Like distracting Starlight in this episode is all his choice, but then later on when like bugging her phone and getting tickets to Ezekiel and all of that stuff
Mm-hmm.
is when there's like the line and it's a bit like, ooh.
Yeah. And then also like I
Sorry.
think another part he really messes up is during when he apologizes and tells her, Starlight about Robin, because he's lying there. He's purposely avoiding the truth and trying to get Starlight's forgiveness. That's
Yeah, I think the whole thing goes sour when it becomes more romantic.
Yeah.
Because like I think that's the difference with the second time. It's just he's talking to someone he's met before and distracting her. But then when they start dating, that is he's like lying throughout and he's manipulating throughout. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting where did they end up in season 3?
Well, there was a whole arc of
him wanting to save her.
Yeah, and then him using the V. I don't think they ended on good terms.
No, I really like their date scene where he's like, "You're holding back on the bowling."
Yeah,
like, I think that's a really good bit of realistic bonding and like, chemistry.
And then there's a whole like Robin thing too.
Yeah,
where like she disappears, and I think that's worked well as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Homelander visiting Vogelbaum. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Maybe one of my favorite Homelander scenes.
It's a real great performance from the other guy, whoever he may be.
Mm-hmm. And Anthony Starr.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's great throughout.
And it's interesting. Like I feel like in any other time we've seen Homelander, he's trying to put up some sort of front. But this is one of the few times where we see Homelander as an actual human being.
Yeah. It's whenever someone calls him John, I think.
Really. Right. Like, I think anytime like he is called John, it like maybe just because he's being called a different person, but like I look at him differently. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a sort of psychopathic god. It's a kid who grew up in a lab and didn't have any sort of attachments and came out the other end awful.
And Vogelbaum just being completely, it's always great when there's just a character completely unafraid of him, like complete Edgar, Stan Edgar, who's Giancarlo Esposito in later seasons, where just a character is not scared of him and they just talk calmly to him. And I think that it's a good, like this is the first time it really happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think also in this episode, Madison Stillwell messes up and says miscarriage.
Yeah.
Right. And it just like the way that we see that Homelander figures out that this all like people are lying to him is really effective, because you just see his eyes sort of like glaze over.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Stillwell much.
No, we haven't. Probably because it both makes us awkward. We feel awkward.
The mummy stuff.
Yeah.
I think it is such a good layer. Oh, it's become a joke now. Like the milk thing has 100% become like it's a joke in the show. In this season, it's not a joke. And I think it is such an interesting layer to his character, which kind of it makes you pity him and like at the same time you pity him and you're grossed out by him and like you feel sorry for him. I think it's like a very good decision to kind of, I don't want to say humanize him, because it doesn't make you like him anymore, but it
No,
does humanize him in some ways.
right. Humanize, I don't think necessarily means to get you like.
Yeah.
It does give you like just like one of those scenes adds like 15 layers to the character.
It does. It gives you a real good insight into his psyche, because like the entire reason Homelander is such a compelling character because he's just 100% a product of like everything that had happened to him up to that point. Because I think to myself, because obviously these are the kind of things you're not going to know an answer to. But if you were raised like Homelander and you had a life like Homelander, you're going to turn out like Homelander.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not really two ways around that you're going to turn into this horrible person. And like, that's why it's so compelling. Because like, I don't think he wants to be like that. And no one else wants him to be like that. But it's the way he is because of what everything that's happened to him.
It's interesting. It's interesting you saying I don't think he wants to be like that, because I don't think.
Yeah, go on.
Like, I think he wishes that stuff hadn't happened to him.
Yeah,
but I don't think he in any means regrets the person he is now.
No, you're like, he doesn't feel shame about anything he's done, but he wishes he had a family, and he wishes he had like people. Like, all Homelander wants is people to love him, and like, when he can't get the individuals around him like Queen Maeve or Stillwell to genuinely love him, he turns to his fans for this love.
Yeah.
And like, I just think Homelander is endlessly fascinating because that is exactly what a person which all these things have happened to, and you have that like power, like really would have. And like, that's the genius of The Boys, where like it's genius satire, because in a world with superheroes, this is like probably the most likely out of all the options of between like DC, Marvel, and all of that, of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is awful, you know.
And I think that's what kind of sets this show apart from like other interpretations of what if superheroes were real but they were evil.
It's the best. Yeah, it's the best like evil Superman.
Yeah,
because like Invincible's great, and like we should do Invincible at some point.
Yeah, closer to when it comes out for sure.
Yeah. Like, because Invincible is a great show, but this is a much more compelling evil Superman because like, I don't know, there's so many layers to the Homelander that is just phenomenal, and then on top of that, you have Anthony Starr just nailing it.
Just curious, season 1 of Invincible or season 1 of The Boys?
Season 1 of The Boys.
Okay, we're on the same. Okay, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think The Boys is Invincible is slightly overrated. Like, it was really good.
Yeah, I agree with you. There are some characters that I feel like aren't very well developed, but that's because it's a cartoon. Not to say that cartoons can't be as good as The Boys, but
what I was gonna say is that Omni-Man to me is never going to be as compelling a character as Homelander, because you don't have the face of an actor there doing like showing 100 different emotions.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you don't get that in animation, that, you know, but then you get much cooler action in Invincible than you do in anything in The Boys. Anyway, I think, was that episode 7 we just spent ages on? That was the whole show. Okay, episode 8 is called You Found Me. I forgot to say in episode 7 that Billy shoots Starlight, but anyway.
Oh yeah.
Episode 8 is Homelander. Wait, sorry. One more thing on episode 7. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
My favorite thing about the penultimate episode of Seasons of Television is when everything goes wrong. Like, and I think this episode does it so well, where you're like, oh, we've got them. Like, like, Billy finally decided to hand over the information to the FBI, and they've got like Vought cornered, and they're going to be exposed for everything. And then the super terrorist happens, and you're like, oh no.
But I'm going to wait for episode 8 to talk about the super terrorist.
If Billy had just given the information over straight away, then maybe Vought would be defeated.
I don't think so.
Well, Compound V would have been exposed,
That's true.
and Soups wouldn't be in the military, I think.
Well, let's talk about episode 8, and then I'll give you my 2 cents about that.
I think that's a great Billy Butcher moment though, where he's like, "I'm not gonna do it. You're scared of Homelander." Okay.
Yeah.
Homelander steps in and stops the Soup terrorist, meaning the V won't be exposed and the boys are wanted criminals. Mother's Milk and Frenchie leave while Billy and Huey meet up with Mallory. French and Mother's Milk are captured, and while Huey wants to go and save them, Billy follows a lead on Stillwell and Homelander. Starlight confronts her mum, and then Huey confronts Starlight. Homelander tells Stillwell that he created Soup terrorists. Huey gets himself captured to break up the boys with Starlight's help, and Billy kidnaps Stillwell, but Homelander kills her and reveals Becca is still alive. Okay. Tell me about the Soup terrorists.
The Soup terrorists. I think even in this rewatch, I forgot that Vought had nothing to do with the super terrorists.
Same. That reveal still got, yeah.
It was Homelander. And I think that's why, like, I do like. So from what it sounds like, when A-Train, went around the world and gave terrorists the V, I don't think, like, let's say Billy Butcher, exposed Compound V, terrorists still had it. Like, they were experimenting for a while to try and figure out how to give
and also
Compound V.
What I did realize is that there would be no evidence that Vought was doing this because Vought wasn't doing it.
Right.
I think it's a real interesting reveal because it's only consequential in terms of Homelander's character, because no one else finds out. And the fact that it was no one finds, like, the boys assume it's Vought that created them.
Mm-hmm.
And Homelander, no one else finds out, and nothing plot wise would change in the show if it was just Vought doing it. But I think it just adds another layer to Homelander's character, which is interesting.
Yes. I'm surprised, like, I forgot that. Like, it's something Vought, it would seem like Vought would do.
Exactly. And I think I want to watch season 2 now to see what they say there, because there's the whole thing about them transporting Kamiko's brother into the country and stuff like that. And then I'm like, did Vought do that? Or, yeah.
And I think Madison Stillwell's reaction to the thing is also very interesting.
Yeah, I really like the reveal at the end of this episode where she's like, "I'm terrified of you."
Yeah,
like that is.
Here, hold on. Give me 1 second.
So what were you saying?
I think it's still really interesting, like, Madison Stillwell's reaction, because she stood there for a while, turned around and kissed Homelander, but, like, I think she also knew that he really messed up. Like, I think she was scared by what this meant for the company, but she knew that she had to react positively to Homelander, or else it would be catastrophic.
Yeah, and I think Homelander knew he did well as well, because in the next scene, which we're both avoiding to talk about, he apologizes. I think it's Stillwell is a real interesting character. That, like, she's terrified of this man, but because she's so desperate for Vought to do well and for her to do well in this company, she's willing to do all this stuff just to keep him in line.
Yeah.
Like, she's got herself in this deep, and there's, like, no reason. Like, she's not forced to stay there. Like, she's not forced to do any of this stuff, but she just,
it's her own greed.
She's such a girl boss.
Yeah, girl boss.
Let's get it done.
But okay, so there's a lot to cover this episode, so let's go back to the beginning, because I just wanted to get that clear that point.
Okay, so Soup terrorist, we talked about that. Uh, what about your thoughts on Mallory's appearance in this?
But Mallory, her character has always been like not my favorite.
Yeah.
Like she's cool, um, but like it kind of just feels like a point the writers knew they had to get to, and they got to it, and they kept on moving with the story.
I
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I appreciate is the dribs and drabs you get about what happened with the boys and why they split up
Mm-hmm.
over the course of this season, because we see it in season 2 with Lamplighter.
Right.
Like you actually see the flashbacks. But I like the breadcrumbs you get along the way, and then you finally meet Mallory, and she's such a broken character. I think it does work very well.
One thing I also find interesting, like this series sets up soups that aren't even set to appear till season 4. You know, and we get Lamplighter who comes in season 2.
Yeah.
We get who is Jeffrey Dean Morgan set to play?
Oh, I can't remember the name. I was gonna say they always mention Tech Knight, and we still haven't seen him.
Right, I think isn't he supposed to play Tech Knight?
Oh, I don't know. Has that been confirmed? I'm googling Jeffrey Dean Morgan, The Boys.
Um
Oh no, I don't think it's been announced. I think that's the rumor.
oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, I think that's interesting. Um
Yeah.
but so Mallory introduced, that was I think the breakup between Butcher and Huey.
It's so good.
It's very good.
It's a good moment for Huey's character.
Yeah, even though he does save the day, kind of.
Yeah, I think he does. Like, I think it's best case scenario, because if he had just like strolled in there and killed everyone, and he's like, "Mother's milk and Frenchie, we're getting out of here," and they stroll off. I think this is a great mix of like him at, like they wouldn't have been able to get there without him, and him contributing while still being the same guy he is.
Yeah, and if he had have gone with Butcher, they would have died
Yeah.
because what happens with Billy Butcher and Homelander does not go the way Billy Butcher had hoped it to.
Really? Yeah. I liked we're talking about how good Starlight is this season.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing stuff when Huey goes and meets up with her again, and he's like, "You need to come help us because you're a hero." And then she shows up at the end because she's a hero. I think that's great stuff for Starlight.
Mm-hmm. Um, I was thinking like there's like I think Starlight almost in a sense reaches her lowest in this season as well. Because we get this is what I want to talk about. The amazing scene where Starlight confronts her mom.
Yes, great.
Um and I think that's what like that scene I like it so much just because I think like the layers of a parent putting their kid through this is so interesting.
Yeah, and yeah,
And
yeah,
I think I like it so much just because it's so fun to not fun, but like fascinating to think about.
and the stuff with her dad does definitely add a whole extra layer on top of it,
Right.
which like I feel like is barely mentioned again. To be fair.
And I think it's also really like when they're having that fight, you see the background and it's just covered in posters of Starlight. And I don't know, the set design in that house, I think is so interesting because it like the mom is such like she cares about this kid, but she cares about herself so much more.
Yeah, oh, it's amazing when in the soups for the Capes for Christ episode where she's like, "Oh, I can't do this speech, mum," and she's like, "Oh no, you got to do it because all my friends are at home watching."
Yeah, I think didn't she literally say do it for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, wild stuff.
Can I give you probably the biggest nitpick in the world?
Hmm.
In
Oh boy.
episode 1, there's like the Starlight training montage. How
Yeah.
come she's just punching holes in the wall of her garage?
Yeah, no,
How
no,
often
I
is
agree
that
with
getting
you.
fixed? What's going on, Starlight? Just don't go around punching walls in your house, okay?
If they were like on like a warehouse or like a
Yeah,
abandoned,
but that's
that
just
make
a house, isn't it?
yeah. And like that can't be like that, like punching holes in walls. Like there has to be a more efficient thing to punch to like practice.
And like, if I don't, do they get stronger if they train? Like, does she have to work out?
No, well, I think you can certainly like, practice taekwondo and get better in taekwondo and be a better
That's
fighter that
true.
way.
You,
But
yeah,
she's just
you
punching
punch
holes in
better.
walls.
Yeah, you punch better, I guess.
But and like lifting up
Like, yeah,
cars.
like some superheroes have the super strength and super durability, and then another power on top. But then you have people like Mesmer who are just.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought Mesmer died. I'm going to be honest,
Me too.
but he survives.
I think he does in season 2.
Is he in season 2? Oh, okay.
No, he's not. Hold on. Are you looking this up or am I looking it
You
up?
can look it up. I think he's fine. I'm pretty, but like I thought Homelander like drops him from the sky or something. I don't know
Yeah,
why I had
me
that
too.
image in my head. Maybe they just edited it out.
Oh wait, no, we're being so dumb.
Hmm?
Billy Butcher kills him.
Oh yeah, that's why I thought he died. That's a good. I love that scene actually. Of each punch, you like see a
Yeah,
flash of. Yeah,
it's really good.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, what I wanted to talk about is this isn't a controversy. People get upset about this, and I understand the viewpoint. In later seasons, it is revealed that Homelander saved the baby. Why on earth did he save that baby?
wait, no, he didn't.
Well, that's the thing. He didn't, but he does.
Wait, hold on. In season 3, it's revealed that the baby has teleporting powers.
Yes, and of course. No, this is what. No, sorry. I remember what's happened now. In season 2, it's revealed that the baby survived and appeared 3 miles away or something.
Right.
And everyone was like, "Oh, they chickened out because they made Homelander save the baby,"
Which doesn't make sense.
which doesn't make sense because he hates that baby. And
Mhm.
like, I get why they do it because it's very dark if you kill a baby, like
Right.
that's dark. Um, but then I guess they heard all this complaints while making season 2, so they were like, oh, let's write something in season 3 that reveals he's got teleporting powers.
Yeah. And then they're to a random adopted kid. Hey, what's the kid's name?
Teddy Stillwell.
Yeah, calm down, Teddy Stillwell.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It's a full-on moment, but yeah, he should have just killed the baby. I'm sorry for saying it.
And that's today's quote.
I no, I really
Okay.
like the scene where he kills Stillwell. That's my final thought.
Yeah, let's talk about that final scene.
Oh, it's such an interesting Billy Butcher scene, I think.
It's like the most silent we see Billy Butcher. Like
Yeah.
he's not happy. He's not like he's just pure anger at that
If you
point.
think, like, you probably get like 3 or 4 Homelander and Billy confrontations in season 3. I think it is so interesting that there's only one in this entire season, and it is so good.
It like if there were more, it would have made the last one so, like significantly
Yeah,
less
100%.
impactful because like that's the first time they're meeting.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
That yeah, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. It's just that, yeah, it's so tense every time they're on screen together.
And the way Madison Stillwell dies is haunting. You know,
Yeah.
like I forgot, like I knew her face got lasered off, but I forgot, like I was expecting like a jump scare, not like a jump scare, but like if it would have remained on Madison Stillwell and we would have just seen the lasers and her face melt, it would have been scary. But it starts on Homelander and you see his eyes start to glow red, and you're like, "Uh-oh, this is about to happen." And they go, and then it switches to Madison Stillwell. Then she just gives a slight little like, there's like the slight little, and then she's just dead. So good.
Yeah. it's such an interesting moment for this character. Just
Yeah.
to kill that. And then I think it is like a really interesting character moment when this doesn't work out. Like Billy just decides to kind of kill himself.
Yeah. And his
Because,
face right when it happened, he's like, what is he like, oh well?
yeah, he's like, oh well.
Yeah.
Maybe he's saying still well, and we just couldn't hear him.
Mm,
But yeah, he just goes, oh well, and then just and like so Homelander didn't kill the baby. Billy killed the baby. What an ass that he's like, I guess in his mind, he's like, oh, there's no way I'm dying at the hands of Homelander. I guess is the reason why he did it.
yeah.
But he knows he's killing that baby, and that baby's not a soup as far as he knows.
But you know what baby is a soup? Becca's child.
Interesting reveal.
And then the child has a hidden superpower of once in their lifetime changing their face.
It is funny. It's one of those classic things because his eyes glow red as well.
Which makes no sense.
But it's fine. Like, I guess you need it. Like, I understand why they put it in there.
Yeah. But it is a good reveal. Like
yeah. I wasn't amazed by this reveal when I first watched it, I remember. I think I was more confused.
Confused how?
Just kind of like, I don't know, just like in where the show was going from that point. Like now I really appreciate it. Speaking of which, slightly off topic. Can I tell you what I thought the show was going to be to begin with when I first watched it?
After you finish the first season, or like before you watch the first episode?
After I watched episode 2.
Okay.
I thought this show was going to be every couple of episodes, they like kidnap a new soup or they find a new soup and they have to find a really inventive way to kill it. That I remember this so vividly, and I don't know specifically why this was my assumption, but just I assume that's what the show was going to be. And I think that's, I'm glad it's not that, but that was an interesting.
Yeah, it's much more of like a narrative than like a episodic sort of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. But in my mind, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, But it is really I like the problem solving element to it of them killing Translucent.
Yeah, no, that is great.
Anyway, any more thoughts?
Simon Pegg's great in the entire series.
Simon Pegg's great, obviously cast because in the comic book Huey looks like Simon Pegg and is Scottish.
Pegg's Scottish.
Huh?
Simon Pegg isn't Scottish, is he?
No, but
okay.
Huey in the comics is Scottish.
Okay.
He's called like the people call him Wee Huey because is what Scottish.
Which they give a nod to in the.
Well, yeah. Instead they go, my petite little Huey.
Yeah.
Well, does French call him a Wee Huey? I think Probably. He does.
Or maybe, but Billy does.
I don't know. We is a very Scottish thing. We in French means yes. So.
Yes.
I'm still upset it's never been explained why mother's milk is called mother's milk.
Well, probably because they can't explain it.
Do you know what the reason is in the comics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're not explaining that. Okay.
Nope, look it up.
What do we do? Are we ranking the show or we choose it? I think we rank the show. Then we choose the best episode. Is that what we usually?
Yes.
Okay. So our current ranking, I'll go from bottom to top, and I'll ask you, is it better than?
Okay.
Just to make this slightly interesting. Is this better than The Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yes.
Interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Is this better
Yes.
than WandaVision?
Yes.
Is this better than both seasons of The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Is this better than Peacemaker?
Yes.
Peacemaker's great. I just,
Yes, it is great.
Is this better than Daredevil Season 1?
Yes.
I agree. Daredevil Season 1's great. And it's got some really good character work. But do you know what my argument would be why The Boy's better?
Why?
It's only really got good character work for one character.
Yeah, that's true.
2 characters, Daredevil and Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, like the other characters get development, but it's not as in-depth as here. You get Billy, Huey, Starlight, Homelander.
Yeah, in
Phenomenal.
less episodes.
Yeah, true. A lot less episodes. It's tighter. We didn't even talk about like the Deep, and
No, we didn't.
he goes on a roller coaster this season,
Yes, he does.
and like you feel sorry for him by the end of the season.
Kind of.
I mean he does get sexually assaulted as well.
I skipped that scene.
So
That's
did
the
I.
one scene I skipped.
Same.
I saw it was coming, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. No.
Yeah, no. I remember.
I know what happens.
Yeah, I was like, I know what happens. I'm skipping this scene. When what's his face, Patton Oswalt turns up in the next season, I'll watch those scenes. But
What happens with Patton Oswalt?
he voices the Gills.
Oh yeah, I'll watch those. But
Okay, which is the best episode of the show? I think it's the one we mentioned.
Season 5, episode 5.
Episode 4. Wait.
Sure.
So
no, it's episode 4.
Episode 5 is the one you didn't like, about Kate's request.
Yeah, episode 4
is the plane hijacking scene, which I think may be the best scene of the series. Billy and Homelander would be up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really enjoy that fight scene when they both have superpowers.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking about the season, like best episode, like series 1.
Yeah, I'd make an argument for the plane. Yeah.
You get like fun little flashbacks of Becca. Starlight and Huey's date is great, and then I really like the Spice Girls speech.
Yeah.
Okay.
And where do we rank?
That is by far the easiest. We've chosen the best episode.
Well, because we literally were like, "This is the best episode," while we were talking about it.
It's like it's not by a lot. It's not
you
like
think it'd be harder.
It's not like you watch that episode and you're like, "Wow, that's
But it's like let's say every episode's a 9. That one's a 9.1.
Yeah. It's just fun. Yeah. Okay. Is that better than WandaVision episode 5?
Yeah.
Is that better than The Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 4?
I know what happens. I know it's going to be better, but
I didn't actually. I'll have a look. I've got I've still got the summaries. Previously, where is it? Here. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, was it episode 4? I said.
Yeah.
Bucky, Sam, and Zemo are looking for Carly in Latvia when John and Lemar show up. Oh, that's a great episode. But yeah, it's better. That is a good episode.
Yes, it is.
Of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is it better than Mandalorian season 1, episode 4? That's the one where they destroy the ATST.
Oh, yes, it is.
Is it better than Peacemaker season 1, episode 5? That is a good episode. That's when the police all surround Peacemaker's house and he has to escape. And then he has to kill his dad. That is a really
good episode, but I do think it's better.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah. And he kills his dad. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Mandalorian season 2, episode 7, which is the one with Bill Burr.
Yeah, it's. I'm just gonna say this right now. I think it's number 1. Wait, what's Daredevil? What's Daredevil?
The season finale. I'm not convinced. Like, I'm not saying it's Daredevil season 1, but I will make an argument for it so we can discuss this.
Okay.
Season finale of Daredevil. It has the phenomenal scene of Kingpin being arrested and him. I thought I was the good Samaritan, but I am the man with ill intent. Phenomenal scene. And then you just have Daredevil pounding on Peacemaker. What am I talking about? You have Daredevil and Kingpin fighting. And then you've also got the montage of I was explaining this to Will yesterday. I can't remember why it came up in conversation. We were talking about how corrupt the police are in superhero things. You get the montage of every single location you've been to over the course of the previous 13 episodes. You have the police running in and arresting the corrupt people.
Okay, but noted. But do you think the Kingpin Daredevil fight scene is better than Homelander telling everybody to sit the fuck down?
No, I don't. But do you think the Spice Girls speech is better than Kingpin's speech?
That's a close call.
I think you're right, but I think I agree with you, but I just wanted to make the argument for Daredevil.
Okay.
Because it is like
it is close. I'll give you it is close.
I don't want to just sit here and be like, The Boys is 10 times better than all these other shows. I mean, sure, it's 10 times better than The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but
maybe like 5 times.
Yeah,
Daredevil's great.
That is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. So 1-1. This takes the place for both of them.
Yeah. All we need to talk about now is what we're watching next. Are we going to do another little poly poll? Or is
poly
that
poll?
Poly poll?
What did we say we were going to watch something next time for Invincible? Well, that'll be later.
Yeah, and then like there's nothing coming out soon because like I guess there's Ahsoka in a couple months.
We'll do a poll. I need to do some research on like what's coming out soon.
Yeah, I think when Ahsoka comes out, we're gonna have to watch the Book of Boba Fett.
Okay.
It's not awful, is it? Be honest.
No, people like to dog on it because like it's the worst Star Wars project Disney Plus has done.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Which is a hot take. No, Disney has done. I'll say that.
Oh, it's not the worst Disney has done.
Oh no, besides Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, besides Rise of Skywalker, it's the worst.
Yeah. Like a panther.
Like a panther. I see. It's got good bits. I like Tamara Morrison.
Some people don't like that.
Yeah, I really like Tamara Morrison, and I really like Boba Fett as a character. Why are we talking about this now?
Okay, yeah, let's save it.
What we talking about? What we doing next week? Well, give me some time to think.
Mamma Mia, pizza pie. Adios.
What would? Shut up. What would Billy Butcher sound like if he was from somewhere else in Europe?
Mamma Mia, pizza pie. I love the Spice Girls.
What is the Sporty Spicer doing at the moment? Well. If it isn't the invisible Mamma Mia. Thanks for listening, guys. We haven't mentioned this is episode 99, but there you go. Thank you for listening to the 99th episode of this podcast.
The Boys is a fitting 99 episode.
Yeah, the boy, because in some ways, me and you are the boys of this podcast.
This is true.
Because we want to bring down a big corporation. We're not going to tell you guys which, though. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.